All right, everyone. Second part of the importance of sleep when it comes to mental health. Self-care is a big part of what we're trying to talk about when it comes to this. And sleep, we talked about in the last video, is really important for the reduction of stress and healing of our bodies and anxiety reduction and that kind of a thing. So I wanted to really focus a little bit on dreams. Because a lot of people are into like dream interpretation and what do certain things mean. There's different schools of thought on this, but in general, the one that I like to kind of go by is the idea that dreams are more of a representation of what it is we're processing. Meaning, like, there isn't really like if you dream of spiders, it's not like your mother-in-law or something like that. That's not what it's really about. It's more like things that we have fears about, and there's been theories throughout this for a long time. One of the first guys to really delve into this was Carl Jung, who believed that we had a shared consciousness. So certain things like fear of fire, fear of heights, archetypes in various mythologies throughout all cultures. He pointed to that and said, "See, that's evidence of a shared consciousness." And maybe he's right, maybe he's not. I mean, you can't really disprove it. You know, it's an interesting theory. But it's an interesting concept, and we do have dreams that seem to be somewhat universal. A lot of people, for instance, have had a dream of falling or flying, something like that. Others have had dreams of certain animals. Spiders is actually a pretty common one. And then there's some people that experience a thing called sleep paralysis, in which they wake up and they're actually paralyzed. A lot of that stuff is actually tied to anxiety. And what's happening is we're having a really stressful time of it in life. We're worried about stuff. Taxes are due. We're in a lot of We're fighting with our in-laws or our family, and we don't know what to do about it. And our brains try to unpack all that stuff. And I think in the last video, maybe I did. I can't remember what I said, but there's this idea that, like, the way I like the example of using memory as an example for this, of you get home from a grocery store and you have a bunch of bags. You bring them in and you put them on the kitchen counter, and then you unpack them and you put them away. You put things in the fridge or the freezer, the pantry, or wherever. And when you sleep, that's kind of what's happening. Is you're processing those day's events. Now, if you have a lot to do, if your brain is working in overtime because the things that you've carried in are so big, it's like going to Costco and you just spent $400 at Costco and you have to unpack all that. Your brain's going to have a more difficult time of it, and the dreams that you're going to have are going to be a little bit more vivid and almost be like nightmarish. So and you might even have them be recurring. They might be the kinds of dreams that you have a lot. Like, for instance, I have a recurring dream around tax time when it's really stressful and you have to get all your paperwork right, of getting a letter in the mail from the government stating that I didn't complete all my requirements to have my license because I failed a class in freshman biology or something to that effect. And then I have to go back to my high school, re-enroll as a high school student, and go and retake that class. And in the dream, I actually go back to high school, and I go to my locker, and I can't get into the locker. I can't find my classroom. And sometimes when I find my classroom, it's the wrong class, or I'm not dressed appropriately, like, you know, the whole you're in your underwear kind of a thing. And usually that just happens when I'm under a lot of stress, when I have a lot to do and I don't think I can get it all done, and it's representative of how I feel. So that's your brain really trying to digest all of that. Another example of this would be marijuana users. A lot of people who are smoking weed regularly, when they stop, will have crazy, vivid dreams. And it's because they let those groceries sort of pile up on the kitchen counter. Now they have to unpack them really quickly. And so your brain just sort of rushes through this really fast. So we can see sort of the relationship there between anxiety reduction and sleep. And light sleep is really where we remember most of our dreams. And so that's why we have those dreams kind of occur. So sleep's really important. And there's even some evidence of things like micro naps. You know, taking a nap 30 minutes a day once in a while when you're under a lot of stress is a good thing. There's some evidence that it actually improves productivity at work, because we're dealing with a lot of complex things at work and it becomes overwhelming and we lose productivity because our brains get tired. And taking a 30-minute nap can kind of reset that. So don't neglect the sleep. It's really important for anxiety reduction. So make sure you get enough sleep out there. And if you're having a hard time with it, definitely reach out to us. We can help you figure out ways to improve that. All right, everyone. Take care.